This is where the two officers that were wounded in that New Bern shootout were taken. The New Bern police chief tells me that one of the officers has left the hospital. The other is still in care here at Vidant. And resort, that's in Atlantic Beach. And as you can see, the damage is pretty extensive. You can see a tree has been torn by the winds. Also back in there, that's a car underneath the rubble. You can see it's snowing right now, but it wasn't like this earlier in the night. It was a mixture of freezing rain and sleet. Now, it's a bitter cold morning. I know I just took off my gloves for a second here, and I can feel that wind chill stinging on my hands. To get into the building, police say the suspect used a rock from the railroad tracks, which is about 40 feet away from the store. Highway Patrol says the car ran off the road to the right, hit a ditch, and kept going where you can see these tracks, and continued on until it hit this tree. And neighbors say moments after, the car caught on fire.
Starts now.
2 officers sent to the hospital with gunshot wounds and a suspect dead. We have the latest information on the Friday night shooting in New Bern. Good morning, Eastern Carolina. It's Sunday, March 30th. Thanks so much for waking up with us. I'm Juliana Valencia. It was a rainy day yesterday, but today we can expect less rain and more wind. We're in the Weather Center with Storm Track 12 meteorologist Jonathan Went with your first look at our forecast. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hey, good morning to you.
Now to our top story, which we've been following since it happened late Friday night. 2 New Bern police officers shot on the job. This morning, we've learned the name of the man police identify as the person who shot the officers. He's 35-year-old Brian Stallings. The officer returned fire and Stallings was killed. We've looked up his record and learned he has a drug conviction from 1996, a resisting an officer conviction from 1997, and a theft conviction from 1997. It all happened at the Craven Terrace public housing complex off Broad Street. Authorities say police stopped Stallings at about 11:45 Friday night. Stallings started running away and shot and hit 2 officers. The 2 officers were taken to Vidant Medical Center in Greenville. One of the officers was released. The other is still in the hospital. Saturday, we spoke with Gary Wester, the father of Justin Wester, who was released from the hospital. The Westers are a law enforcement family. Gary, on the left, retired from the Rocky Mount Police Department after 30 years. Here he is congratulating his son, who became a New Bern officer in November of 2012. Here's what Gary Wester had to say about his son being shot in the line of duty.
The only thing I would comment on is I'm very proud of my son and the other officer in the performance of their duty last night.
Our thanks to Mr. Wester for speaking with us. Our team coverage continues in Craven County. We went back to the scene Saturday to talk with several witnesses. News Channel 12's Kyle Horan has the story. We'll be continuing to follow this story as it develops. Stick with News Channel 12 for the latest facts. We'll also have the latest information on our website, WCTI12.com. Today's the day for a wrestling tournament in Havelock to raise money for a single father who has stage 4 cancer. Shockwave Wrestling Entertainment will hold a variety of matches to raise money to help Wayne Ward check off some items from his bucket list. The tournament will be held at the Havelock Rec Center. Organizers say when they heard about Wayne's situation, they had to do something.
We heard about Wayne on Facebook and contacted his sister and found out that he is a tremendous wrestling fan, and that made it easy for us then, to help him out.
Tickets are $12. Doors open at 6 tonight. Wrestling starts at 7. Let's go outside this Sunday morning. Here's a live look at our Storm Track 12 webcam in Morehead City. It's looking like a beautiful Sunday. Jonathan is up next with your complete Storm Track 12 forecast.
It was interesting to watch how everybody can come together and how all that practice actually worked like it's supposed to.
Derek Smith's wrecker helped pull out a Jeep out of the New River Saturday. It had run off the bridge. The victim was a Marine, Rafael Rentas Rivera from Richlands. Smith tells me the people at the scene say Rivera was on his way to work around 6 that morning, driving over the Sewell Bridge, part of Highway 24. Something happened and Rivera's Jeep went into the water.
I mean, the roads from the snow and everything where it was cold and frosty in the morning, in my mind it would be more he had lost control of the vehicle and just went up, and when he caught the ice, it just carried him right over the side of the bridge and there was nothing he could do.
Police have not commented on the cause. The Jeep was spotted around noon Saturday. Smith says 2 chunks of ice were missing along the highway shoulder where the tires had just hit. He says when you looked over the bridge, you could see the passenger side and part of its tires just barely out of the water. The driver's side door faced the floor of New River. Crews shut down part of the highway while they worked to pull out the Jeep out of the water. Divers recovered the body, and then the work turned to the Jeep.
We lowered everything down to the divers, and they took care of hooking it up and like checking everything over, making sure everything was safe to lift it. I mean, without them there, we wouldn't have been able to get it out of the water.
Smith says the divers used this strap to run it through the roof of the car in order to lift it out. Then they attached this crane, and a Jeep is about 2 tons, and this crane is capable of carrying up to 30 tons. Keys still in the engine, window shattered, but Smith says the Jeep didn't look as bad as he'd imagined.
It looks more like a wreck you would see in the road, not something that had went off the side of a bridge or something.
In his opinion, the size of the car, the tires, its height off the ground, plus the weather were all factors in turning the shoulder of the bridge into a ramp that went from the bridge into the air. Again, police have not released a cause of the crash and haven't said that ice could have acted like a ramp. Reporting in the studio, Juliana Valencia for News Channel 12.
I just lost a pet of my life through an accident where a person can't even cross the street for M&Ms and the Skittles without getting run over. And it hurts bad.
59-year-old Darlene Yale was killed. On a Friday night, Yale was laughing as she walked out the door to buy some candy for herself and her husband.
That was the last time I saw her.
Troopers say a pickup truck hit Yale. Her husband says she must have been leaving the store and going to see her friends at the restaurant across the street. I'm at the intersection of Riggs Road and Hubert Boulevard, and as you can see, there's a lot of traffic behind me and not a real place for pedestrians to cross. And this is where troopers say Yale was hit as she was running across the road.
When I heard those sirens, I worried death. I called and called and called, no answer.
No one picked up, but he did have a voicemail from her, sent at 7:06.
I forgot my belt and my medicine. Didn't take you on.
The accident was reported at 7:19, less than 15 minutes after the voicemail. That voicemail includes the everyday things that Greg will miss. Troopers say the driver in a pickup truck swerved to the right to try to miss her, but it was too late. The driver will not be charged. A witness to the crash says the driver ran out after he'd hit her and started screaming, crying for help. Troopers tell Greg she must have died instantly. He's upset, but says he'll never forget how happy she made him feel.
Darlene was a hilarious stand-up comedian. Nice she'd give you the shirt off her back.
For now, he just stands over the last place she laid, remembering her memory. Salt swoops in like a hero during winter weather. It's sometimes forgotten, but salt is essentially the foundation to keep roads safe. DOT maintenance engineer Gordy Orr says the DOT serving Craven and Pamlico County has already used about 650 tons of salt since the snow fell Tuesday.
Salt is huge. It's the most cost-effective anti- and de-icing agent that we can use with the least amount of corrosion.
Salt can be used wherever there is snow and ice. However, it's a common misconception that salt melts ice. It doesn't. It just mixes with water to lower the freezing point from 32 degrees to around 18 degrees. The salt for Craven County comes from Wilmington, and the salt for Pamlico County comes from the Chesapeake Bay.
Between those two ports, they'll ship it by rail, boat, truck, all up and down the East Coast.
Salt is also used to make an essential, brine, a mixture of salt and water, but it has to be about 23% salt and not anything less than 21, or it has the chance of refreezing roads. This whole room can hold up to 400,000 tons of salt, but I can't stand on the pile because salts mixed with water can create little pockets which could collapse. The only difference between this table salt and this rock salt is the rock salt hasn't been ionized, but if you wanted to, you could put this on your food. And throwing down the salt you have at your home will work at the same speed and effectiveness as the rock salt that DOT uses. Yuri says the rock salt costs them $83.74 a ton. So this week, DOT has spent $54,431 on salt. and it's 100% covered by the gas tax. In Craven County, Juliana Valencia, News Channel 12.